Morning, and thank you for the start of another day, another week. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to be here and address the business before us. Pray for your guidance in all the decisions we make. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to serve our neighbors and to serve you. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, as we start citizens communication, I've got a couple things. First being our emergency no, not you, Chief, don't worry. Our emergency management coordinator is going to give us a little update on the weather that we're all watching, the tropical storm. Rick,
Judge.
good morning.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Do you have the slide? He's real quick. As our attention kind of turns once again from the Hill Country and the devastation that occurred there last week, take a brief moment to talk about that. So obviously we saw the impacts of Southwest Texas and also the Hill Country with the flooding that was occurring in the Guadalupe River. We were watching that pretty closely all throughout the week. We have Canyon Reservoirs between us and them, so there was a lot of capacity. Jen and I, both first calls we made first part of last week was Canyon Reservoir and seeing what the capacity was, and so we felt very comfortable. Didn't think there was going to be many impacts to the Guadalupe River here for us because of the capacity they had and the reservoir that they had there. So everything fared out pretty well. We did have some minor flooding that was down here, actually action stage, which was a little over 12 feet. Reminder for all of us, it's the flooding that occurs and the rainfall that occurs south of the dam that really affects us, and that's what set us up in the 98 flood. And so, anyways, so it worked out well for us there. Obviously, we now are turning our attention to the tropical depression number 2. If it does form into a storm, that will be, I think it's Bertha. And so it looks as though that this will impact our area the latter part of this week, Thursday into Friday, mainly impacts on Friday into Saturday. And so right now developing into a storm, moving due westward, and then possibly lessening it south down into a depression. Reminder though, Hurricane Beryl just a couple years ago in July, same thing, it was a tropical depression, went into a storm, and then actually made it to a Category 1 as it made landfall. So we therefore don't want to let our guard down. So this is going to be moving due westward, and so we'll have a little bit better projections, but as of right now, it looks like everything is lining up that it's going to stay due west, coming across Louisiana and into Texas, impacting our area Friday into Saturday.
How fast is that? There has to be a high that's pushing it due west. How fast is that? Is that high expected to stall, or is it expected to push on through?
Expect to stay where it's at, and so if you know anything about the weather patterns, the high is what steers it. So that's why it's keeping it to the southern side of our United States, and then it's just going to wrap it right back around it. So, which is why you see the probability of air cone right there on Saturday at 1 a.m. That's a very large area because they don't know what's going to happen if this high stays there. It'll push due west and then wrap back around it. So, once again, our attention is on the tropics. So, let's see what happens in the next couple of days. We'll start operational briefings for ourselves and our National Weather Service out of Corpus Christi today and throughout the remainder of the week. So, we'll provide updates to you folks as we go throughout the week.
So they've ruled out the option of it going up into the Panhandle. I heard that was one of the possibilities. Not Texas, Florida Panhandle.
Sure, no, it's definitely to move westward.
Okay.
So it's everything is
That
lining
high's
out.
over Dallas or somewhere, right?
Lining out right now that it's going to be coming towards us due westward. So
Okay.
strength is the intensity is where they don't have a good measure on. So we'll have to see what happens with either being a depression storm and or even a Cat 1 hurricane. So keep you updated. So thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. And
Appreciate
this is
it.
a good reminder and heads up to us all. Normal hurricane preparedness, gasoline generators, all the things that we're reminded to do June 1st when it starts, but those things, yeah, and everything else. So you've got time this week to stop by Walmart and the gas station. For those who were watching the news over the weekend, Victoria lost a beloved person, frankly, one of the biggest advocates for our community, friends that we all had. Brother Gary Moses passed away early afternoon. And huge, huge loss for the community. Everybody here has decades of Brother Gary stories. being greeted by Brother Gary was a treat in and of itself. You could just feel the love and enthusiasm he shared with everybody. He will be missed. There's a visitation to honor his life next Wednesday, the 29th, at the Community Center from 3 to 7. I'm sure that'll be a sizable crowd, fittingly, but everybody, of course, is encouraged to attend that. For us this morning, though, I'd like us to rise and offer a moment of silence as we remember and reflect on Brother Gary's life. All right, thank you all. We'll miss Brother Gary, no doubt about that.
Yes, we will.
Citizens communication, any and everyone wanting to address the county on any business, Commissioners Court, come on up. You're welcome to do so, up to 5 minutes. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Just wanted to thank Brother Gary Moses for all what he did for the 5K, 10K, and half marathon runs. He would introduce the runners and stuff, and he helped coordinate and stuff. And I used to do that 20 years ago when I was 200 pounds. I'm 295, can't do that anymore. But he died of a bacterial infection in the lung. I don't know if anyone knows that, but there was really nothing anyone could do, even the finest doctors, but they did their best. And I would like to talk about Summerstone Apartments. We have a roach infestation and the manager is taking $8 from the tenants and refusing to spray. This has been going on for like a year and a half, and I wonder where that $8 is going, you know? And I consider that a criminal offense, similar to theft of service, where you go and you eat at a restaurant and it's $8 and you just take off running. And I don't know if charges could be filed against the manager, you know, Class C misdemeanor for theft, but this has been going on. And to this day, they still refuse to spray for roaches. So I've been spraying every month, and in return, they don't spray. She noticed I was spraying last month, and after I was finished, she says, "Do you want me to spray for you?" I said, "You know, I already sprayed. I don't need your help. I already sprayed." But I do wish they would do that. I got roach feces behind the refrigerator and stove because I removed it yesterday, and it's really bad. It's a roach infestation, and there's rats and mice. They're not taken care of. And I want to thank the commissioners last week, because after I reported all the problems there, it was taken care of immediately on Monday and Tuesday. So someone must have made a call, which I do appreciate, because don't appear to want to take care of things on their own. It's going to take the government to get involved, if it's the county government, a local government. But they appear to be doing a very poor job with everything, and they have it seems like they have no intention of fixing anything. Someone's air condition went out, and they're refusing to fix his air condition or get him one or anything like that. And you know, they're charging about $850 a month rent. That's a lot of money you're paying for not getting no service, and they continue giving very poor service. And I wish they could do their job. Right now, they're not doing their job. And but I do want to thank Gary Moses for all the runs he helped coordinate, and at the hospital and stuff, he'd visit patients, and you know, he didn't get no salary or get paid. This was free, you know. And anyway, thanks, and have a good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Other comments this morning in citizens communication? Morning, Jonas. Come on up.
Good morning. Yes, I anticipate I'll be visiting with you all weekly for the coming weeks, but want to thank you, Judge, for honoring Gary Moses. That is a significant loss for all of us, and he definitely will be missed. I wanted to continue to talk about the Blue Energy Project, and I know that it continues to stir up a lot of debate within the community. And just wanted to talk about the process and the timeline of where we are. And this is very similar to many of the projects that we work, is they're in a stage of evaluating sites, evaluating, what infrastructure they may need to tap into, the market conditions, their off-takers, what permits they may need to file, and what have you. And so as they're going through this process, before they get to final investment decision, a lot of the things that they're doing are internal, just evaluating, the economics of a project that they are considering. And so as that continues to advance, we have a saying at VEDC, we can never win a project in any given day, but we can certainly lose one. And our goal is to always make it to tomorrow, because we always want to have the option to consider and have dialogue and evaluate how potential projects would benefit our community and our constituents and our taxpayers. So that's the stage that we're in, and I know that a lot of the conversations are based upon conjecture or speculation of what it might be. I think we're getting very near to a stage where they will be a lot more available and a lot more public for interactions. And I think that we're very excited to enter this new phase and this new era so that we can have more direct interactions and clarify some of the what may be speculation and rumor in the community. So this is very typical of where we are, and we're excited to be at this point and want to be able to continue to advance and allow all of us to have more information with regard to potential project and benefits. And then the second thing I wanted to speak on with regard to that project was something that Sean mentioned at his closing remarks last week as he was introducing Eddie, was the benefits of having power generation at the Port of Victoria. That this would be the plan and the concept is for it to be grid connected, and how that would benefit potential projects at the Port of Victoria, how this would benefit ERCOT as a whole, to have kind of a balance and more of a big circuit breaker or capacitor in this part of the grid would really benefit not only a potential off-taker but multitude of users within the region. And the plan is once again for clean, carbon-free energy, and one that I think checks a lot of boxes for a multitude of us. So that's all I had to say this morning. Once again, Gary Moses will be in our thoughts, and thank you all for all that you do.
Thank you, Jonas. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Other comments this morning in citizens' communication?
He's got
Oh,
some.
you had one right behind you, Lee.
No, you go ahead. No, doesn't matter.
Okay. Oh,
Okay, I'm Lee Swearingen. I
Morning,
think I know
Lee.
most of y'all, or y'all know me. I want to echo kind of what Jonas was saying. About 10 years ago, we lost a major project here because we didn't have power. It's now in Sinton and really producing jobs. Commissioner Sexton, I think at a previous meeting, you said you like data. I can drown you with data if you want, but it's not going to be pretty. The economy here is slipping. The data is supporting that, and I'll be glad to provide that. I've been in business here for over 50 years and have maintained databases for all sorts of things here for years. But if you really look at the numbers, we could do a whole lot better. We need to do a whole lot better with our jobs, and we're not going to get them if we don't have power. And the Blue Energy Project is one that would be very, very meaningful to this community. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Lee.
Appreciate it.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
My name is Joseph Napolitano, and I'm a resident of Precinct 3. And there's a couple of things I'm going to talk about. It's all relative to Blue Energy. And the first thing I'm going to talk about are the abatements. Now, I've gone through all of the individual abatement packets, and I've made a spreadsheet. Can I hand these out to you guys?
Sure.
Make it a little easier to follow along.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now, I think that 30 seconds shouldn't count towards my time.
We'll deduct it from your time. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Okay, so what those spreadsheets I handed out, we're looking at costs, abatement costs per job. So if you look across the top, we're only going to talk about phase 1. That's the gas-fired power plant that's being built. That's the first part of the project, right? In the abatement, on page 7, it talks about the number of jobs that are going to be created. That's jobs on your sheet. That's 38 jobs, right? Of those 38 jobs, 29 are people who are going to be transferred to Victoria. That leaves us a net gain for Victoria residents of 9 jobs on the first project. The abatement cost per job, if we just look at the 9 jobs, is $182 million. If we look at the abatement cost per job for the whole 38, it's $43 million abatement, right, for one job. And one of the things we hear a lot about is the 363 jobs that are going to be created with Blue Energy, right? They come up here, the VEDC and Blue Energy folks that were here talk about it all the time, but really it's 173 jobs. So of those jobs, those that are going to be people going to move into the area, I'd like to know what jobs those are. Are those the highly paid $130,000 jobs we're hearing about? Or are those more support personnel for the site? And I think that's not broken down at all in the abatement package.
You are aware that the abatement amount you're listing is the taxable value, not the
That's correct.
amount of the abatement.
That's correct.
Okay, so those numbers would not be any contemplated abatement amount.
Well, if we look at in the packet, right, we go to page 7 in the packet, it tells us the expected total project expenses, so this again is just the first phase, is $3 billion, right? Then it tells us ineligible property and expenses are $1.3 billion. And then it tells us total value eligible for tax abatement is $1,642,000. That's what it says in the abatement
The
packet.
taxable value.
That's right.
Y-
So I'm not saying that's the amount, that's the taxable value that we're taking off the table for 9 jobs.
I don't think that there would be any contemplation of doing a 10-year, 100% abatement with no direct payment to the county, but in the hypothetical you mentioned, sure,
Right?
continue.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is what you guys are going to vote on. I'm saying this is what was proposed by them. This is in the abatement package. Right? And so there's that, right? That the cost that we're putting up to not be taxed on is to get a very small amount of jobs for our local community. No matter what the actual number of tax that's reduced for them, right? We're talking about 9 jobs out of 38 are going to be coming from local residents. And if you follow that all the way down, you can see on here that for the 363 jobs, they're taking almost $17.5 million off the table for taxes is what they're requesting. And so I think that's something that needs to be looked at. Because the whole thing that I hear on all of this is economic development, and that's jobs. That's where it matters, is in the jobs for the citizens of the Crossroads. And you can see it's 173 jobs is projected to be hired from the Crossroads. The remaining are going to be brought in from out of town. So, and I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. And the other thing is that, there's been a lot of talk of Blue Energy's power systems being tied to the grid and the benefit that's going to give to our community. The levelized cost of energy for solar and wind is $30 to $90 a megawatt hour. The LCOE for gas-fired is 40 to 80 megawatts per hour. Conventional nuclear is $141 to $220 per megawatt hour. SMRs, which they're planning to build out there, are $100 to $130 an hour.
I took a little of your time, so you can continue.
Okay, or $130 an hour, right? However, because this is first of its kind technology, and these haven't been built anywhere, there's no SMR in the United States that's supplying power to anybody. There's one unit that's reached criticality, right? Meaning that they have a nuclear reaction. Some people are speculating it's $200 to $300 a megawatt hour for the SMRs. So if this is tied into the grid, and we're typically paying at most $80 a megawatt hour, who's going to pay the difference, even if it's $130? But let's just say it's $150 to $180 a megawatt hour. How does that get paid for? And who's going to buy it? 2 years ago, a plant in a different state, an SMR, was pulled because the feasibility of it selling electricity collapsed because of the cost. And when it collapsed, ratepayers had to pay for it. And I can supply you with that data if you want. So I want to make sure everybody's clear is that, like, tying this into the grid may not be the panacea that you hear everybody saying it is from the Victoria County Economic Development Council or from Blue Energy. Because when we start talking about energy costs, this is only the cost to produce it. It's not the cost to send it anywhere. So there's additional costs for transmissions. And I just have one last thing, and I'm done. We've been doing a lot of work out in the community around this. We've been out in Bloomington knocking on doors. We're on social media. We've had several different organizing meetings around it. And nationally, about 50 to, Texas, polls in Texas are telling us about 50 to 52% of people across the board are opposed to data centers. And make no mistake, the Blue Energy is the data center. If Blue Energy doesn't come here, there's no data center in Calhoun County, right? They're tied together, and they have been from the beginning. And in rural areas, it's 62%. About 25% of the people we talk to think, oh, we need the jobs, right? Well, we're getting 173 jobs here out of this, right? So it's not a whole lot of jobs. And forget about the data center, that's probably less. But what's amazing to me is 25% of the people we talk to tell us this. They say you're wasting your time because it's a done deal. They've already made up their mind, or they've all taken money, or they've gotten campaign contributions. No, I don't think that's true about any of you at all. I spoke with Commissioner Shannon earlier. I believe you all have the highest integrity, and that's been displayed in all of the things that I've watched that you do. This is a perception in the community, though, is that what we do in opposition to things has no meaning because the decisions have already been made. And, and I'm not throwing rocks
About
at it.
another 30 seconds.
Okay, I'm not throwing rocks at anybody, certainly. But, when we had the first meeting, it was about blue ammonia, and I asked for a week to repost it so it could say Blue Energy, and you guys voted unanimously to accept the packet that day. That just reinforces that with people, right? And that was an example that was used to me a few times. Thank you for the additional time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Other comments? Yes, sir. Come on up. Just give us your name for the record, please.
My name's Jared King, live at 404 Tan Drive, Victoria, Texas. Listen to this gentleman up here. I build these plants for a living. That's my job. I'm an industrial contractor. On top of that, I'm multiple other things. Live here. I've got business interests in Calhoun, Jackson counties as well. This is my home base. They talk about blue ammonia, and we're talking about nuclear energy and stuff like that. I'm not too sure where some people get their data from. I can tell you from personal experience, like I said, I do this for a living. Generally, a project of like this nuclear plant size, you're talking anywhere between, depending on timeline, part-time, like I should say, what we call contractor jobs, people that we bring in to help build the plant. You're looking anywhere between 5,000 to 20,000, depending on the time frame of people coming in this area, like employees. That's how much it takes. When we did the expansion project for Mosa Plastics, we had almost 36,000 people come into that area. I was there. It was chaos, but I was there. Again, like I said, these are jobs that are going to be here for 5 to 7 years. You have startup, permitting, inspections that have to take place. There's a lot of checks that take place. I know you guys are county commissioners. You know there's stuff that's outside of your wheelhouse, federal, state level inspections that have to take place. We talk about that, and even then, once that job is done and those are complete, and yes, a lot of times those guys do come from outside because of the manpower shortage, right? We have a manpower shortage sometimes we have there. That happens in our industry. That's everywhere. It's here. That's Port Arthur, Brownsville, Midland, Odessa. I'm in every one of them. I see it all the time. That manpower fluctuates. We have it here. But I will guarantee you that about probably 4,000 of those is going to come from this area. 700 are probably going to belong to me. They're my guys. They're guys that I work with that spend their money here, that put their taxpayer dollars here. They're here for a reason. If you go look at Calhoun County, and I'm not knocking them, okay, I have business over there, there's a reason why we have the things that we have. There's a reason why we have the 3 hospitals that we have here. There's a reason why we have the school systems that we have here. Because we have the population to maintain those. Now, this one gentleman right here was saying that it's going down, and I 100% agree. It is slowly going down. Not as bad as some of the other surrounding counties, but it is going down. But we got to where we're at here in Victoria because Victoria said yes when other people said no. We have enough common sense in this area that we trust the people that work in these facilities, that they're billed properly, that you guys will do your due diligence, that the federal and state inspectors will do their due diligence, and we put our faith in that. That's their job. And then once they do move out and the permanent employees are there, as was stated before, it's about a $140,000 a year job, right? Now, I know there's different levels. You have engineers and such, down plant managers, EH&S department, the whole 9 yards. All down. But when you start talking about a $100,000 plus hour job, I don't know about you guys, but if you're a young person, if you're my generation or a little bit younger, and you're out of high school or college and you just got back, you're looking for a job trying to start a family, that's a lot of money. When I was in the military, I was making $1,500 every 2 weeks trying to survive with a family. If you offer me $100,000 a year, good Lord, I don't know what I would do. That's our housing market. That's money that brings children into our schools, that goes money fueled back into our economy, at our restaurants or shopping malls. God knows I spend enough time at Home Depot. All right. I love Cavender's. All right. That's that money. That's what those jobs do, is they put that influx back in there so that you guys can decide on where that money needs to go to fix our problems. And that's what we need in Victoria. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Thank you.
Other comments this morning in citizens' communication? Welcome, ma'am. If you just give us your name for the record, please.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Bootson, and I live at 405 Londonderry Drive. And my comments are related to the previous comments that some people have had. But I just wanted to say that a couple of months ago, Commissioner Martin had a community forum in the evening to report to constituents on projects concerning Victoria County and his precinct. And I thought that was a great idea, and it gave people a voice and some more information. I would just like to request a similar forum sometime in the near future, specifically for the purpose of discussion of the blue energy and small modular reactor projects and the Crusoe Data Center project that are in the planning stages for the Port of Victoria. I think a forum such as this with all of the commissioners, hopefully, and Judge Seller would allow for sharing of just information and questions about from constituents regarding the status of these projects, just to give everyone more information. And I will follow up this request with a phone call to Mr. Sexton, the commissioner for my precinct. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Other comments this morning in citizens' communication? Good morning, Jewel.
Good morning.
I wasn't actually planning on speaking, but I figured I would mention something that you guys may not be aware of, but this Saturday is 100 days until Election Day. And that's it's going to go by in the blink of an eye. And I bring that to you because there's a lot of chatter on social media about Greg Abbott potentially having a special session to give you guys more power about what goes on in the county. Because pretty much when a person buys land, they get to do whatever they want to with it. And you don't have a whole lot of control over those things. Victoria Economic, the groundwater conservation districts, they have, actually, they probably have more say-so than you guys, and that's really not fair, because you guys are the ones that get the phone calls when somebody's got either a data center coming in, or the SMR plant isn't going the way they thought, or the gas turbines are too loud. They're not going to call Blue Energy. They're going to call you guys. They're going to call Mr. Garcia probably first, and then they'll call Mr. Zeller. So it is my hope that Greg Abbott has some sort of a special session for a moratorium on these data centers and these things, so we can learn more about what's going to happen to the people who live nearby. And it will also give companies like Blue Energy a chance to find out more about what actually happens when they get these small nuclear reactors functional, because as Mr. Napolitano said, there are absolutely 0 functioning small modular reactors existing in the United States currently producing power. I'm not against producing power. I think it's great, but I do definitely realize from all of the press releases from the companies involved that Blue Energy is only coming to our area to power the data farm in Calhoun County. They said it themselves. They need a big customer, and that's their big customer. So hopefully you guys will get more say-so in a special session. So that's it.
Thank you, Jules.
And happy 100 days.
Thank you.
Other comments this morning for citizens' communication? All right, anything up here?
Judge, I do want to make a comment concerning a comment that was made last week about representatives that would represent that area where the project is going to be part of the Victoria Economic Development Corporation. What I have found out since then is it's a membership group, and you have to become a member to be considered to be on the board of directors. So that's kind of how that works. So if anybody's interested from that area, get with Jonas and find out how you can become a member.
Yeah, and there's been an active effort over the years to encourage and invite individuals and businesses in the community to join the VEDC, be part of that effort, part of that process. So that's something that's long been encouraged. And for someone interested in that, Jonas, who would they call if they wanted to join the?
Just myself or victoriaeconomicdevelopment.org. Our information, I think we're pretty easy to find, and we have added quite a few members of late. Always happy to have more perspectives and more direction for staff.
Very good. Thank you, Jonas.
I have a quick question. Is there a donation required to be a board member?
No, it's the board is elected from the membership. So there's yeah, so we function, we're a 501c6 nonprofit, very similar to a chamber of commerce. So there is a membership, and then the membership elects board members.
Right. You have to pay to be a member.
Yes, sir.
How much is it?
$1,000 is the partnership level.
Okay. So a resident from Bloomington would have to pay $1,000 to be a member of the board.
But we're not in the, yes, we're,
I'm just saying,
yes,
so
yes.
people that are
Yeah,
representing.
same as the chamber or any other organization like that. Yeah. All right, thank you, Jonas. Any other comments before we move on? All right, we will move right along. We're actually going to take things out of order at this point. Item number 11, our county clerk was going to speak to that, but she has a looming commitment here shortly, so to give her the chance to head on out, we'll go to item number 11, and that is to ratify service order and master services agreement with Glovably, Inc. for a digital bulletin board software and take appropriate action. Good morning, Heidi.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sometimes background noise catches on the audio recording, so I was kind of waiting for it to calm down a little bit.
Gotcha.
I'd like to thank you all for allowing me to kind of cut the line here so I can get on with my vacation there.
I wasn't going to mention it was vacation.
Well,
Pending
and
business.
Well, you never know. I might be a little Jim Cantor and report from Louisiana on the weather. So, you know, we'll see.
Is it possible there's an anniversary involved in this, Heidi?
Yes, it's in celebration of my husband and our 30th wedding anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
That is why.
Congratulations.
And my husband's a constable, so getting him to leave the county and be away from his post basically is almost impossible to do. So, but back on the topic here, Glovably is a digital bulletin board, and they came to us actually pitching a minute software turned into basically, well, we've got this other product, because I told them there's nothing wrong with our Commissioner Court minutes, so I'm not going to change it if it's not broken.
Yeah.
I mean, why go to that expense? But they did have a product, their new digital bulletin board, which
helps clarify postings. If you've ever been to the downstairs in the courthouse and you look at the bulletin board,
Yeah.
it can get quite,
It's pretty busy.
it gets busy.
Busy, yeah.
Online, we're also required to post items, agendas, trustee sales, foreclosures, things like that. Those can get equally crowded. In an effort to make it easier for the user, not only the clerks, but the people actually looking for the information, this will allow us to scan it in. It will process it through AI. Basically, any information coming from this is already information that is required to be posted online. So it's not going to tap into our data. It's going to be what we scan. And it's going to pull out the information that's required, such as what time the meeting is. It's going to have the ability to chat, have the little search bar and say, where's the meeting located? Where's the sale? It's going to come up courthouse steps at 10 o'clock. So it gives a lot of insight as to what is in the agenda or the posting notice on that. And it's a far cry easier for the public to be able to look, search, and find what they're actually looking for. So they came with a very lucrative offer for us. At first, it was 40% off, and when I was going into my budget talks, I was visiting with the judge, and we counter-proposed with 60% off, but they came down to, we are going to be taking an option that is 40% off the actual fee for the product and a waiver of the implementation cost. The setup fees being waived are over $11,000. And then the subscription fee is discounted by about $9,000. So right there, we're saving over $20,000 by going now as opposed to next year. And that's why we're coming in at this point in time requesting that this be approved and we move forward
And so
with
the
this.
ongoing recurring annual expense, Heidi, is what again?
That is going to be $13,500.
Okay. So an annual expense, ongoing 13,500.
Right, as
Is-
opposed to 20,000. Or 22,500.
Yeah, in talking with Heidi about this, I like the concept of this digital bulletin board just as an effort aiding in transparency and of ease of use for the residents who access these. Our notices and public hearings and just the myriad of things that we're posting constantly. If you only go to Commissioners Court, that's pretty easy to know, pretty easy to find. But there's a whole lot of other things, foreclosure sales, notices, a whole lot of things that we post. This would be a lot easier for residents to access, to search, to filter and sort through. And it seems to be a best practice nowadays within a lot of counties. So it had a lot of appeal to it. Certainly, even with the discount, $13,000 is $13,000. However, we felt it is worth the expense. That is a lot of money. Of course, all of our technology costs, well, a lot these days, but we felt this was a good idea. I think it'll be very helpful to the public so it had a lot of appeal to it. And we would just fund that through our annual ongoing technology budget going forward.
And I can add to that, starting out at that lower rate, the 13.5, what that's going to do is allow us to stay at that rate, and what they do is they build in a percentage increase every year. So we're going to have that increase off of the 13.5 as opposed to the over 22,000. Now, had it not been any kind of reduction, I wouldn't have even suggested this, because I told them that I wasn't willing to spend $20,000 of taxpayers' money for that.
Sure.
For that, we would tweak our systems the best we can to keep going like we are. But based on this, and as far as notices, we're talking about even like navigation district notices, hospital board meetings, just things like that, elections, anything that's required to be posted on that bulletin board downstairs and online will be in that.
So Heidi, currently, everything that's on the bulletin board isn't available electronically to folks that want to get on there and see what things are going on.
It is. On the county clerk side, I can only speak for. There are tabs throughout the county's website. County clerk's office, we have a bulletin board tab on our webpage. It goes to that. You click on meeting notices and agendas, and it's going to give you the different, we've got it broken down into the different sectors that post normally, Navigation District, Commissioners Court, Citizens Medical Center, and then we have a tab for all other. And what we do is we scan that in and upload it when we get those in. But if the public doesn't know exactly where they're going, no matter how many times I got bulletin board or even the tab for foreclosures, they're not going to know exactly what they're looking for. Foreclosures especially because, and this is not just Victoria County, this is all counties basically from what I've gone through their websites. Foreclosures are in a bulk envelope, for lack of better words to say. And they're scanned as they come in. So they're just added. So it's not broken into properties. It's not broken into the different documents. It's one huge document that you got to go page by page by page.
And if this is something you decide, it's not working the way I thought,
We are able to cancel.
okay.
And this is pending legal review, obviously.
Is it
through
a
our legal
30-day
department.
out, or is it a 30-day out or a 60?
I think it's a 30.
Okay.
It was very reasonable.
Okay.
Hey Heidi, is this just for the bulletin board portion of this? Are we going to continue using what we're currently using for the recording of Commissioners' Court, or is it going to replace that as well?
No, it's not going to replace
Okay.
that. In fact, they actually will work with our website vendor when we get it changed over. They've already got partnerships with them in place.
Okay.
So it will just enhance that feature. We'll be able to put the link on the webpage and be able to go from there.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
Enjoy your trip.
Enjoy your
Thank you.
trip.
Again, I appreciate y'all letting me move forward a little bit.
No problem.
Thank y'all out here too. I appreciate it.
We'll keep it in mind.
All right, next item, we'll go back and get back in order. Item number 4 is to consider approval of minutes and take appropriate action. Each of you should have a copy of those minutes in front of you.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 5, consider approval of accounts payable and take appropriate action.
Accounts payable for July 20th, 2026 are $1,130,168.18. Supplemental payments are $1,028,909.61.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thank you, Michelle. Item number 6 is to receive monthly and quarterly reports from various county officials and departments and take appropriate action.
We have county judge, county commissioners, precincts 1, 2, 3, and 4, and district clerk.
Move to receive.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 7, consider approval of bond forfeiture releases and take appropriate action.
None.
Very good. Thank you, Belinda. Item 8 is to consider approval of Citizens Medical Center interim vendor payments. We have the July 16th memo from the hospital showing interim vendor payments on that date being $372,907.54, and the ACH report totaled $3,220,513.05.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Our next item is number 9, and that is to receive a report from the Victoria Regional Airport regarding airport operations, grant opportunities, equipment acquisition, and take appropriate action. Good morning, Lenny. Welcome.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to come back and present to you what's going on at the airport. If we can start with the next slide. So far, year to date, as you can see, we have accomplished 6,591 employments for the year. When you look in comparison to 2025, we had 7,637 by this same date, which means we are short about 1,046 in comparisons to last year. Now, there's a couple of things that did not help, and I actually helped to get to that 1,046 in a way. One was the change of schedule to a later flight for almost 3 months, and that flight was leaving Victoria very late, and it was not a very popular flight when it came to the passengers. So that flight did not accomplish a lot of employments. Luckily, sometime in May, about 20th of May, we went back to a better schedule and things are picking up again. Another point to bring up is that employments overall around the country are lower than it was in 2025 and 2024. So when you look at the whole employments nationwide, employments are lower, and the numbers are coming, a percentage lower at this point. So that's the numbers as far as the employments that we have at the airport. Can we go to the next slide? Next slide, I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on our ATC, or the Air Traffic Control Tower rehabilitation. As you remember, that was a $1.7 million grant, no match on this grant, 100%. We did go through bids, and the bids came higher by $421,740 over the 1.7. So the FAA was very gracious to let us use other funds for that grant, and they're already again ready to send that grant for the $421,740 to be able to accomplish this whole project. Construction is in project. Everything is going very well. The only thing that we have in order is the new the new generator. The generator that was quoted as part of this project, Generac doesn't make it anymore, so they upgraded the generator, and they're going with a same kind of generator, but a different serial number on the generator. So that will be probably a backlog of probably about 2-3 months on that generator. Other than that, the project is going very well, and it's a 180-day project, so going good, as I said. Next project, as you can remember from last week, the FAA announced $11.1 million for our airport, and that's to, as you can see in the schematic there, it's for the south area taxiways. You look to the very right of that drawing, and you can see those taxiways that kind of go at a very steep angle, and it turns around at another very steep angle to get to the FAA. That does not meet geometry of today. That was built actually back in the World War II and Cold War era, and now we are building these taxiways to meet geometry conformity with the FAA design regulations. So somewhat these taxiways will look in a way as the replacement for taxiway Charlie looks. We don't know how much this project is going to cost at this point because we haven't gone to bid. Within the next 30 days or so, we probably get the documents ready to go to bid on this particular project, and we'll find out what the price is going to be. But nevertheless, we do have $11.1 million for this project. And that, just so you understand how these funds get to us, there's several different buckets of money that come through the AIP fund, the Airport Improvement Program fund. Some of those are the entitlements, and as you can see there under FY 2026, there's $2.6 million in entitlements. Those are the dollars that we get for having 10,000 employments. It used to be $1 million, and everybody talked for years about the $1 million and the 10,000 employments. A couple years ago, the Congress changed that, and they made it $1.3 million. So the FAA for this particular project save my entitlements for 2025, FY 2025 and FY 2026, put together those $2.6 million as a base, and the FAA just recently announced that $8.5 million. So the total grant is about $11.1 million. If something were to come a little higher than that, the FAA will would get together and they'll figure it out how to make more discretionary funds available towards the grant. Next slide. Which brings me to runway 1331. As you can see, the little blue area, aqua blue on the right, that's how the taxiways would look as you get to the runway. And then you got the entire 9,100 feet of runway that we're trying to rehab or reconstruct. The FAA already paid for this 30% EDR. The EDR is complete. It has been presented to the FAA, and now we're waiting for the FAA to come back to us and let us know if we can go to design. As usual, the FAA would like the county to go ahead and start the design ahead of time, and they will reimburse us for the design when the construction grant comes in. The $11.1 million, as you remember, I mentioned to the judge that those $11.1 million include the design dollars that the county already paid for the design. So as soon as that grant becomes official, the first payment from the top would be back to the county for the design dollars that the county fronted. So the FAA would like to have the same scheme to go ahead and use county dollars for the design. They will reimburse us FY 2027 when those discretionary dollars come. And in 2027, we will use our entitlement funding of 1.3 and plus whatever the FAA will bring to us as discretionary funds. As you remember, the grant, the funding for the 30% design was out of a grant that was $835,144, that also included in part the terminal parking lot. Next slide, please. Now, a little bit of an update on the terminal replacement project. As you know, we're trying to replace a terminal that was built 32 years ago. Things to remember is the terminal was designed before TSA. There was no TSA when this terminal was designed. There was a little bit of a cubby hole when we had a metal detector and an X-ray machine that were a very low scale, a small type of equipment. A few years ago, TSA wanted to upgrade all of that equipment, and we ended up with very large equipment. For that reason, TSA took about half of our terminal space prior to the holding room or the secure area. And the additional things to remember was that back in those days when they designed the terminal was designed based on a 34-passenger terminal. So any time you have about 30 plus passengers, it looks very crowded in there. For those of you that fly continuously out of our airport, we get 40, 45 passengers in the morning flight, and that holding room is very, very tight.
Standing room, yeah.
It's not very conducive to the operation, as passengers have to come in and out of a regular door, and nowadays most people are expecting a jet bridge to climb into the airport. Jet bridges are also capable of producing air conditioning to keep the aircraft air conditioned. So we're trying to move to the next level, and most importantly, this will bring 16,000 square feet current terminal into a possible 29,900 terminal. We've gone through the visioning and public engagement. Judge Seller handpicked a group of individuals from the community. These individuals met and came up with all the ideas that this terminal needed to have. We presented that to the architects, and the architects have done a great job in putting all those ideas together and representing in the terminal what this community is all about. Most everything is already 100% complete, other than the construction documents, which are about 80 to 90% at this point. The most important part that we're waiting for is TSA. We give them space, and this is how it works at any other airport. You give them an actual space, and they design that space or how they want as far as offices, baggage rooms and all of that. They design that portion. So we're waiting for that to come back so we can complete this project. Let's go to the next slide. As you know, this project started at possibly $27.9 million. I went ahead and put 27.9 to $30 million because by the time we get to actually, if we build this project, it probably could be close to $30 million. Don't know until we go to actual bids for this project. We secure a state grant or a state rider for $2.5 million that actually allowed us to do the design. So thanks to Senator Cohorst for championing that rider in the amount of 20.5. The sponsor share was $260,000, and that's how we did the design. Had a conversation with the FAA. There is some what the FAA calls a letter of intent. That is a maximum of $10 million. The way it works on the letter of intent, we tell the FAA that we intend to build a terminal, and we would like to use the max allowable $10 million, which means, in essence, the county will spend the $10 million. In the letter of intent, we tell how we want that money reimbursed. And if we want it in 5 years, the FAA would graciously reimburse us $2 million a year. If we want it in 3 years or 4 years, we just do the math, and that's what we tell the FAA. It's not a guarantee, but it's a good thing that Congress created this a couple years ago. I'm working on this. I'm looking into this. The next, the time when you apply for this, for what I understand, is in March. So we got plenty of time to look into this and put that letter of intent together. So that will be up to $10 million. Also for the construction phase, we already have secured a $5.5 million earmark from Congressman Cloud. Thank you very much to thank Congressman Cloud for championing this earmark. I asked Congressman Cloud for another earmark for FY 2026, and he was gracious to put that earmark. It was a request of $10 million. The request went into in the paperwork as a $10 million, also from the Congressman's office. But as he moves through all the committees in Congress, it's actually at $5 million, and now it needs to move to the Senate. If the Senate votes, it will be approved of $5 million. It comes to Congress for reconciliation, and hopefully by the end of the year, sometime in December or first part of next year, we can have a new bill, and those $5 million will be secure. So if all this starts aligned by the end of the year or early next year, we could have $10.5 million as a way of earmarks, possibly $10 million on a letter of intent to reimburse us. Obviously, it'd be $10 million minus the local share. And I also have met with state representatives and have made a request for a possible rider for FY 2027. And I'm working on that, and I'm hoping that that comes to fruition next year when the legislature meets here in the state of Texas. So there's a lot of ways we can build this. I'm looking at every single possibility, every single avenue where we can get these funds to build this particular terminal. Unfortunately, as you know, this year was the last year for the ATP grants, which are where the airport terminal program, we did not get any money out of that because money is very tight, and the majority of money goes to the larger airports. So when it comes down, trickles down to the smaller airports, it's very hard to get any funds. Just as an example, Austin International Airport got $90 million out of that. So it was a long shot, very difficult, for very little money that each individual region in the United States for the FAA gets. So, but there's other avenues, and I'm working diligently to figure out how we can do this. Next slide. the recent meeting with the FAA was okay and approved for us to get a grant to buy a sweeper truck. The story of the sweeper truck, when I came to work here at Victoria Regional Airport, we did not have a sweeper truck. I knew of a sweeper truck that I used on from my previous employer. I approached my previous employer and I asked them if they wanted to sell it to us. They were very gracious, sold it to us for $15,000. It lasted for 9 years, and overnight, I think it was a short in the electronic parts of the backside of the truck, and it caught on fire, and unbeknownst to us. So it's completely done. We're calculating that this particular sweeper would be about $457,000, give or take, could be a little more. It's a little more specialized than what you see on the street. As you can see in the front, there is a bar that goes across, and that's an actual magnet that picks up any metal that you might find on the runways or taxiways, like bolts or nuts or anything like that could cause damage to engines, either props or ingested by jets. So it's a very important piece of equipment. FAA is totally good with it. They had given me the go-ahead on the bids. Bid is put together. Just probably minor little fixes here and there. Our attorney has it, and purchasing and Michelle, her department have it. That's a way of how we do these bids. So I am planning on bringing this paperwork to you guys next Monday to be approved to go to bid. Next slide. Just to give you the font and everything got changed. I don't know how that happened. But just to give you an idea of what we have going on at the airport, these are all the grants that we have open. It's a total of 7 FAA grants and one TxDOT grant. As you can tell, these grants keep you busy. There's a lot to look into it. There's a lot of invoices to look into it. I'm always thankful to the job that Michelle's department does. After I check all of this and Beth checks it, it also goes to the auditor's department and they double check that too, make sure we're all in line and everything is coming very good. So when you look at the total federal grants, on grants that are open right now, that we're still drawing money and paying and reimbursing the county, we got $14.9 million and a $2.7 million TxDOT grant, which is a grand total of $17.6 million. That does not count the $5.5 million earmark that we have pending because we haven't used that money. That does not count still the sweeper grant that is coming and the second grant for the tower project. So within the next month or so, we could have up to 9 or 10 open grants to manage. So it's a lot of fun. Next slide. Several items that are pending, and I'm very proud that a friend of mine and I worked on the language of a piece of legislation that passed through Congress last year, which kind of selected about 6 airports in the country. I thought up until a couple of days ago, I thought it was 5 airports that meet the criteria, but the FAA just told me that there is one more airport that meets this criteria. The judge and I have discussed this at length. And it is, there was some set-aside funds last FY 2026 for airports that meet the criteria in red. This is where a friend of mine and I worked on. And airports include scheduled commercial service during 2024. We did that. Service to an essential air service community. We are an essential air market. 0 outstanding airport debt. We meet that requirement under the Forms 127. And priority consideration for airports participating in the FAA contract tower. We are an FAA contract tower airport. So there was 2 pots of money that were set aside. It was $35 million total that Congress set aside for these particular airports. Out of the 35, 20 million were set aside for those 6 airports. My understanding is that the FAA, and this is just speculation for what I heard, is that the FAA is going to get a good portion out of those $20 million and put it into our first phase of runway project. I wanted to use those funds towards the the actual terminal building. But the FAA has a huge bill to pay over the next few years on the 3 phases of our runway, which.
So that would be a development that just occurred, the inability to use that for the terminal and instead the runway?
Correct.
As in like
Correct.
the
I'm still working on that, Judge. I'm still getting some clarification, but the FAA is looking at easy things to do with that money and priorities most of all. And as you can, as you might know, a runway is a higher priority than a terminal. So, but I'm still working through some contacts in Congress to kind of get a little bit of definition of how that money was used. So a lot of times lawmakers have a lot of good intention and things are not very clear how things can be spent. You know, Congress had very good intentions with the CARES Act and all the money that came through COVID. But Congress didn't realize that most of the money was going to the bigger airports and very little to the little airports. And that's the reason for this. So in conversations that I had, I'm like, you know, this money was supposed to be kind of like what we got from the CARES Act. Use it for whatever you need, whatever your intentions are. So far, it seems like the feds wants to use this money for a runway. I would like to use it towards the terminal. But we'll see how that goes.
Lenny, whatever that money is used for, whatever decision is made, the match is still the same?
Correct. Right now, the match for us is 95.5, so the county has a 5% match, which is, it's a really good deal compared to the previous years that was 90-10.
Well, one thing you have going for you is you actually have a congressman that uses your airport.
Yeah, no, that's great. I cannot say anything bad about Congressman Cloud. He has been true and true a partner of the airport and a partner of the community. Anytime I need something, anytime I want to meet, he's been very gracious, and things are working very well. Yeah. Next slide. Just a reminder for everybody, you know, a G800 will take you 8,000 miles, and a mile of road will take you a mile down the street. So that's what airports are very important. Next slide. And that's all. I can take any questions if anybody has any questions.
Hey, Lenny, I just want to go back to the emplanements and correct me if I'm wrong because time flies. So does the current number of the emplanements being down, does it have anything to do with, didn't we have the airport closed for a period of time as well during this reporting time due to runway repairs or not?
That was last year.
Okay.
That was, if you look, if you can bring that first slide. If you look at the month of July last year, August, sorry, there was 113 employments.
Yeah.
That was when the runway.
Okay.
And this information is gathered by the information that the Skyway sends me. I can tell you that, you know, just to keep things clarified, we have no control over the airline. The airline is a totally different entity than the airport. They do their operational flights the way they need to do it. So we don't have we don't send any information about what the flights look like, whether they're going to be canceled or whether they're going to be delayed. That is totally to United Airlines. We keep our runways top shape. We keep our runways open. We keep our taxiways and runway lights first class as much as we can. We do a daily inspection of all of that, and everything is working pretty well, actually. There hasn't been no downs on the runway, no down on the lights. So.
Question on the terminal, the sequence of events there. I know a big factor in this has been the share of local funds versus the numerous grant and funding mechanisms we were looking to combine to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we would need to commit to the local, make a decision on what we would be able and comfortable doing as far as the local match by that March deadline, or local share, I should say.
Correct.
Is that, okay.
So what the FAA would require from us is it's a financial plan. And in the financial plan, by March, we'll know if we got the second earmark. So the financial plan would have about three components. It will have the component of the earmarks. We will have the component of the LOI, the letter of intent to be reimbursed by the FAA, the total amount of $10 million.
But we wouldn't have the state rider at that point.
No.
So
but-
that's where I'm going with that is we commit to X number of dollars from local funds, and then a rider comes in for whatever amount. Is that?
Correct.
Does that reimburse?
Correct.
What we,
So let's say that we get 10 and a half and 10, that leaves $9.5 million. Let's say the county is going to figure out how this gets built, whatever the funds come from. So at that point, it doesn't mean that we cannot take more grants to take out the burden to the local community. So if a rider comes in for $5 million, then those $5 million will be allocated to the $9.5 million that the county has put in.
and that would just
So that brings
reduce
it down
the
to
amount that
4.5.
we're on the.
And any other funds, you
Okay.
know, I mean, there is the possibility that any other municipalities want to contribute towards it. Nothing is off the table. Could be $1 million, could be, you know, who knows what. But I will find a way to find those dollars because I would like to give the community a new terminal just as much as you do, guys.
Yeah, okay.
Are you seeing increase in employments with the schedule change?
You know, what I can tell you at this point is that the later flight that we had, leaving at 7:20 and later at 7:40, did not do very well. The new schedule, it is increasing the amount of passengers that fly in the afternoon more and more every day.
Okay. So we think the numbers are down not because of anything operational, it was just schedule.
No, there's nothing operational. It's just,
Gotcha.
it was just a schedule. I mean, we still even, you know, what happened during that period of time was, you know, that most passengers that really needed to fly out of Victoria, they moved to the morning flight.
Yeah.
Since February, when that schedule started, we have February, March, April, we changed back in May 20. We had a shift, because if you hadn't shift these people from the afternoon to the morning, we would have been even lower. But those flights in the morning were going very full every day during that period of time that we have that late flight in the afternoon. Now you can see that the morning flight's still pretty decently full, you know, 80% load factor or so, sometimes 90% load factor.
Yeah.
And the afternoon flight still has like 20, 15, 18, 30 passengers. So it's starting to go back to normal. My wish would be still a flight, it's leaving at 5:30 now. You still have a decent bank of flights out of IAH. But what I would like to see is probably more like a 4:30. And I will continue to engage SkyWest to see if at some point they can bring that schedule to that 4:30-ish type of departure. But as I said before, we have no control of what the airline does as a way of schedule. That's exclusively for their operation. They figured out what's available and what's not available. And a lot of times, it all depends on crews and also on the availability of aircraft. Because as you know, we don't get a set aircraft to go back and forth from Houston for Victoria. We get an airplane that comes flying from all over the place. The same airplane that comes to the afternoon flight to Victoria might have been in Oklahoma City in the morning, and in the afternoon it was in New Orleans, came through IAH, and now it's coming to Victoria. So it's a network of routing that they do, and we get an airplane that is flown most of the day coming to Victoria. So there is no such thing as, you know, the same aircraft coming back and forth. That was the old days when we had these little airlines that were owned by an individual that owned one or two aircraft.
Any other questions for Lenny up here?
About fuel sales.
Fuel sales are very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate the update and report, Lenny. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, our next item we have already done, 11, so we'll
No, we
move to,
10.
Oh, 10 is what we did. We'll move to item 11.
No,
Wait,
we need to do 10.
okay. Okay, let me
It's
regroup.
not as easy as it looks.
Okay. So 11 is what we did. Now we're doing 10. Okay, thank you. Team effort up here. Item 10 is to receive for the record a certificate of compliance for the Victoria County Jail dated July 1 from the Texas Commission on Jail Standards. Chief, this was good news. We were in compliance. Which is what we
Not
like
much to
see.
report. We got an unannounced visit. We passed, and that's always good news to come before you guys and tell you that. And I will tell you, big thanks to Kelly and his guys, because we, just a few days before that, lost an air conditioning unit. And I know I spoke to you guys, and we were able to get a mobile unit out there, and that really saved our bacon. So we appreciate that.
How good is this inspection for? I mean, are you
We're
guys
expecting
normally?
another visit by the end of the year.
Okay.
The reason why we're expecting that is because the inspector told us, I'll see you in December.
Gave you a heads up.
Clue. Okay.
Yeah, I'd take that to the bank, yes.
Yep.
Move to receive.
Second.
Thank you, Chief. We have a motion and a second to receive. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Okay, now it's 11 that we've already done. We'll go to 12. And that is to consider appointment of the Victoria County Tax Assessor Collector to calculate the no new revenue and voter approval rates. This is an essential part of our annual budget process. The court can designate anybody to calculate those official rates. We've used the tax assessor for many years, and that has worked well, so that is what we plan to do again. Do we have a motion to approve item 12?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item number 13. Authorized to advertise a request for qualification for a pool of architect services, engineering services, and land surveying services on Wednesday, July 29th, and August 5th, and take appropriate action. Good morning, Adrian.
Good morning, Adrian.
Good morning.
Commissioners. So just as you just read, this is to authorize to advertise for 3 separate RFQs. And it's for the, like you said, the engineering services, a land surveyor, and then just a general architect.
Okay.
And all those advertisements will happen on Wednesday.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you, Adrian.
We are going to pass on item 14 and move to item 15, and that is to consider approval of request for plat exemption from East Point Energy LLC located in Precinct 1 and take appropriate action. Good morning, Avery.
Morning, Avery.
Morning, Judge. Morning, Commissioners. This is a plat exemption request from East Point Energy LLC in Precinct 1, as noted, Judge. It's roughly the 2000 block of FM 616, just west of Bloomington High School. It does have access to public right-of-way off of FM 616, and a driveway permit would be required from TxDOT. Our department has reviewed the applications submitted to us. It's a proposed 12-acre subdivision of a 57.8-acre parent tract. It meets the conditions for approval under the plat exemption process as laid out in Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 232. After that review, it is our recommendation that this plat exemption is provided to you for formal approval. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. We also have a representative from East Point Energy and their legal counsel in attendance today.
No questions come to my mind. Of course, I'm not as directly involved in that. Commissioner, anything on your radar?
No, I don't, Avery's done a good job of keeping us informed and meeting with folks. So with that, I will move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Avery.
Item number 16 on the agenda is to consider approval of a payment request to Experts Underground Solutions LLC in the amount of $139,897.80 in connection with the Texas Community Development Block Grant Award grant number CDV 23-0328, and take appropriate action. Good morning, Robin.
Morning,
Good
Robin.
morning. This is payment for the Bloomington Water District Sewer Improvement Project. Has been reviewed by the county and our consultants for compliance and is ready for payment.
So this is what they're doing with the water district in Bloomington.
Yes, sir.
All right. So Lynn Engineering is overseeing that project?
Yes, sir.
I don't
That
know
is
why
correct.
I thought it was the guys out of Aetna. I had it
So are you talking about, so it's John Mercer, who used to be Mercer Engineering. They were bought out by Lynn. So it's essentially the same people.
Same people, okay.
That makes
All right.
Yes, sir.
sense, okay.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thanks, Robin. Item 17 is to consider approval of an amendment to listing agreement for the space located at 2604 East Mockingbird Lane, and take appropriate action. That's our, over there by JP4, that one small space we have. We have Jimmy Zaplak having this listed for us, and we're still looking for a suitable tenant.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 18, consider approval of the following detention and residential contracts for the Victoria County Regional Juvenile Justice Center: A, Austin County; B, Grimes County; C, Johnson County; D, Medina County; and E, Tom Green, Coke, Concho, Arion, Runnels, Schleicher, and Sterling County.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item number 19 is to consider approval of Resolution 2026-076 for a road donation in the amount of $690 from Berenice Carrion for the installation of a pipe culvert at Grand Street in Precinct 1.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item number 20 is to consider approval of the following for engineering services and take appropriate action: reclassification of assistant county engineer to project manager, and B, creation of new position, precinct project and / GIS manager. This is part of the restructure in the engineering department. Gianni, what do we need to know about this?
I can let Avery talk to you a little bit about his plans for the department, but I would just like to touch base and let you guys know that we evaluated it under your adopted compensation plan. You should have before you the final kind of draft job descriptions that have the salary ranges. One position is a reclassification of the existing assistant county engineer, and the other is a new FTE. So on your cover letter, I did try to put estimates. I didn't get to run actual numbers, but I did run an estimate based on if you guys elect to budget the midpoint plus 3%, which is the kind of practice we've taken for all of those positions. At the $42.63 an hour, the existing county engineer position, that's really no impact because the budget is already in there for the rest of this year. But for the new FTE, you'd be looking at $37,515 plus fringe, so add on 23% to that. And then it impacts the 27 budget by approximately $89,000 for the year, plus fringe.
Okay, so this is a creation of one position, then reclassification
Of another.
of another. Okay. Okay, and so the numbers associated with this is this hasn't changed from when I last looked at it. These numbers, okay.
Sure.
And Judge, I'd be happy to give a quick, just general spiel about our office and
Please.
restructuring. As y'all are aware, with Sarah in our office transitioning to temporary help, and then that now transitioning away from temporary help to not being with us, and then John's recent retirement last month, the past month, now almost 2 months, it's been very lonely in the office from an engineering and development perspective. I'll say I cannot express enough gratitude towards our grants division. They've had to do a few non-grants things in order to just keep things running on my end of things. And so part of that restructuring is restructuring existing budgeted positions and then the reclassification and new position creation before you today to essentially have a single person in each area of responsibility that our department covers from an engineering and development perspective. So grants is remaining unchanged. And for folks that might be unfamiliar with what exactly our office does, we kind of have several different buckets that I put them in. So the first are any kind of development activities, permit issuance, review of folks that intend to build in Victoria County. We handle everything development. That position will hopefully start, that has been backfilled. That's being called the development coordinator, and that person is primarily responsible for those duties. These two positions are the other two buckets. So the first, the project manager, is responsible for the in-house capital projects management and some of the support that we give to internal departments such as facilities for projects that they undertake. Our CO bond series projects are a great example of the kinds of responsibilities that the project manager will oversee on a daily basis. Likewise, then that third bucket of responsibility is our precinct project manager, and that's everything to do with road and bridge. And as y'all are all very intimately familiar, we have lots of engineering projects in the county that deal with your folks on the road and bridge crews. And this person will be a supplement to that and responsible for daily operations and oversight over those projects. And so we essentially have three separate positions responsible for separate individual projects that are the primary responsibility. We cross-train, and then, of course, myself to supervise and plug where necessary to keep the ball running. And then outside of those positions, we hired for an executive assistant who will also be starting next Monday. And the goal of that position is to support everyone else and keep us in check.
Looks like a good game plan. Any questions up here for Avery?
None.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thank you, Avery.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Avery.
Gianni. Item 21 is to consider approval of personnel changes and take appropriate action. Looks like a memo from Karen Klein, the elections administrator, for some overtime hours. 3 individuals totaling $644.59. Do we have a
Move to
motion
approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 22, consider approval of 2026 budget amendments and take appropriate action. We have several of those all in your agenda packets.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item number 22 is to consider approval, wait, did I already do that one?
23, Judge.
Okay, I'm on 23. Receive for the record discretionary budget amendments, if any. It looks like there is one in the sheriff's commissary fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Our next item will be a closed session that we will move to right now. 24 is closed meeting pursuant to VTCA Government Code 551074 to discuss personnel in various departments, 551087 to discuss economic development, and 551071 to conduct a consultation with the county's attorney regarding matters protected by the attorney-client privilege. And we will now go into closed session at 11:29 for those purposes. Appreciate everybody's attendance today, and we'll see you next week. Okay, we're good over here. All right, we are coming out of closed session at 12:01 PM. There's no further business to address, and so we will stand adjourned, 12:01 PM.